This is not the first time we are witnessing these contradictions by the United States. In fact, one of our problems in the negotiations is these contradictions and this inconsistency in their behavior. It has happened before. But the key point is that, thankfully, our diplomatic team is at an excellent level, our defensive capability is high, and the support of our people is outstanding.
Is Iran really trying to twist President Trump's arm by demanding a staggering $24 billion war bill? And could this massive price tag be the lever Tehran is using to reshape U.S. policy in the region? Is this reported ultimatum from Tehran a humiliating demand that Washington hand over $24 billion or face continued hostilities, an actual negotiating tactic? And how might such a stark choice reshape the balance of power and the prospects for peace? Could Tehran's apparent insistence on receiving cash first and offering peace only afterward be squeezing the Trump team into an impossible corner, forcing U.S. negotiators to decide between immediate payments or prolonged instability? Is the claim that Iran is demanding an immediate $12 billion payment to stop attacks on U.S. assets accurate? And if true, what precedent would such a ransom-like demand set for future crises and American deterrence? Are the Qatar talks really showing Iran in the role of an aggressor who insists pay first, effectively bullying the Trump camp with high-stakes demands? And what are the diplomatic and strategic risks of capitulating to such pressure? Iran has reportedly demanded the release of a staggering $24 billion in frozen assets as a central condition of new talks with the United States, insisting that access to these funds must be part of any preliminary agreement to reopen diplomatic ties. According to Iran's Tasnim news agency, a source close to Tehran's negotiation team has disclosed this demand, claiming insiders directly involved in the discussions confirmed the $24 billion figure as a non-negotiable term. Iranian negotiator Mohammad Ghalibaf arrived in Doha on May 25 with the stated purpose of finalizing the terms of a potential agreement with the United States, joining high-stakes talks intended to bridge differences over the frozen funds and other security concerns. Tehran says it is seeking the $24 billion as part of a detailed 14-point memorandum of understanding with the United States, framing the release as one element among many conditions meant to guarantee long-term commitments from both sides. Reports indicate that Iran is demanding that half of the $24 billion be released immediately upon public announcement of the deal, signaling a push for upfront payments rather than staggered or conditional disbursements. It is notable that Tasnim remains the sole Iranian news outlet to publish these detailed claims about the $24 billion demand so far, raising questions about sourcing and whether other state media will corroborate the report. Iranian media outlets estimate that Tehran has between $100 billion and $123 billion in assets frozen in foreign banks around the world, figures that Tehran cites to justify its leverage in negotiations over partial releases. In 2023, approximately $6 billion of Iranian funds were reportedly transferred from South Korea to Qatar under separate arrangement, a partial thaw that represented one of the few concrete movements of Tehran's overseas reserves. That transfer of $6 billion was reportedly linked to a prisoner swap in which Iran released 5 American citizens, illustrating how financial transfers and hostage diplomacy have been interwoven in past deals. Despite earlier transfers, Iran's funds held in Qatar are reported to have been blocked again after the Gaza war escalated tensions between the United States and Iran, leaving those assets inaccessible as diplomatic relations soured. The October 7 Hamas attack on Israel helped trigger the broader Gaza war, an outbreak of violence that in turn froze previous negotiations with Iran and cast a long shadow over any efforts to resume talks over frozen assets. On May 25, U.S. military forces carried out so-called self-defense strikes targeting Iranian missile sites in the south, actions described by officials as necessary responses to imminent threats and part of a broader effort to protect American personnel and assets in the region. Despite the fresh military strikes, President Trump publicly maintained that talks with Iran were proceeding nicely, insisting that diplomacy continued even as kinetic actions unfolded and raising questions about how battlefield events might affect negotiations. U.S. forces said they struck both Iranian missile installations and several boats accused of laying sea mines, claiming the combined strikes were aimed at neutralizing threats to commercial shipping and coalition vessels operating in nearby waters. Marco Rubio commented that, in his view, a deal between the United States and Iran remained possible despite the recent military actions, suggesting that diplomatic channels could survive short-term escalations if political will and concessions existed on both sides. Iran later claimed it had targeted a U.S. F-35 fighter jet following President Trump's order for new strikes, an assertion Tehran presented as a proportionate response and part of a pattern of tit-for-tat military signaling between the two countries. Tehran further asserted that its forces intercepted an American drone that had violated Iranian airspace, framing the interception as a defensive measure and evidence of what it characterized as repeated U.S. incursions near its sovereign borders. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps warned explicitly that it reserves the right to retaliate against the United States for hostile actions, signaling a readiness to respond militarily if Tehran deems U.S. strikes to cross its red lines. The IRGC claimed that U.S. drones and fighter jets repeatedly violated Iranian airspace during the period of heightened tensions, alleging that these incursions justified both Iranian defensive actions and raised the risk of further escalation. At the same time, Iranian officials complained that U.S. contradictions and inconsistencies in policy and public statements remained a major hurdle to progress in negotiations, arguing that mixed signals undermined trust and complicated any effort to reach a durable agreement.
This is not the first time we are witnessing these contradictions by the United States. In fact, one of our problems in the negotiations is these contradictions and this inconsistency in their behavior. It has happened before. But the key point is that, thankfully, our diplomatic team is at an excellent level, our defensive capability is high, and the support of our people is outstanding. With the trust we have in our military forces on the ground, the presence of our people, and on the other hand the trust we have in our diplomatic team, especially with Dr. Galibaf, someone who was a wartime commander for many years and also knows the diplomatic field well, we hope that the path being taken and the decisions being made will lead to the benefit of the Iranian people and lasting peace in the region. And ultimately, God willing, the region will be freed from this unstable atmosphere. Our defense and diplomatic teams are monitoring the situation very closely, and they will take preventive measures if necessary. Thankfully, our friendly and brotherly country, Pakistan, has made great efforts, as you have all seen, to promote peace and diplomacy in the region. Given the high state of readiness of our defense forces and the vigilance of our intelligence, security, and diplomatic teams, there is no cause for concern. It is clear that none of the agencies will ever compromise people's rights, and they will not hesitate to take action against anyone when it comes to issues affecting people's livelihoods and well-being. However, due to the confidential nature of currency operations, some of these matters naturally cannot be discussed in detail or disclosed precisely. That said, the necessary arrangements for currency settlements have been made, and there is no issue in this regard. Regarding release of Iran's frozen assets by the United States, I should mention that due to the measures taken to ensure a unified message and a single voice on behalf of Iran, Dr. Bakai has been selected as the spokesperson for the negotiations. Therefore, for greater accuracy in the response, I suggest speaking with him. In general, however, I must state that the President has said we will not back down from the rights of our people, and it is obvious that while the diplomatic path is being pursued, we naturally stand firm in securing the rights of our people.
President Trump is scheduled to visit Walter Reed Medical Center on May 26 for another medical examination and evaluation. The appointment marks Trump's third medical visit within 13 months, fueling growing questions surrounding his overall health condition publicly. According to NBC News, Trump previously visited Walter Reed during April this year and October last year for evaluations. The White House described the latest examination as routine, though concerns surrounding Trump's condition continue growing across Washington publicly. Recent public appearances revealed visible bruises on Trump's hands alongside noticeable red marks around his neck and facial areas. Observers also noticed swollen ankles and several moments where Trump appeared with closed eyes during official meetings publicly recently. Trump denied accusations he was sleeping, insisting he simply listens carefully while others continue speaking during lengthy discussions regularly. The White House blamed bruising on frequent handshakes alongside Trump's regular aspirin intake used for blood-thinning purposes daily. Trump was diagnosed last year with chronic venous insufficiency, a condition causing swelling and circulation issues in his legs. Despite growing speculation, Trump, turning 80 next month, continues insisting publicly that he remains in excellent overall health. Trump's repeated hospital visits have raised concerns among former White House doctors and several medical experts. Former White House cardiologist Jonathan Rayner accused administration officials of lacking transparency regarding Trump's actual medical condition publicly. Rayner argued elderly individuals naturally develop medical complications and administrations should openly acknowledge those realities without hesitation publicly. Other former White House physicians also criticized officials for refusing to release more detailed information regarding Trump's health evaluations. Concerns intensified further after recent polls showed declining public confidence surrounding Trump's mental sharpness and cognitive fitness. NBC reported only 40% of Americans believe Trump remains mentally sharp enough to continue serving effectively as president. Public confidence regarding Trump's physical fitness reportedly dropped sharply compared with earlier polling figures recorded during previous campaign periods. Trump previously made mental fitness central politically, repeatedly mocking former President Joe Biden publicly as weak and cognitively unfit.